And it's been fun, Xavier. To me, say the least, it's been fun. Watching the Drake fans scramble this summer has been fun to me. Seeing all the comments that we have every time we do talk about Drake has been fun to me.
Right.
A lot of things about just how the beef happened and the aftermath of it has been funny to me. So Drake did release 100 gigs. What is this? 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago.
About 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he released 100 gigs, which was a lot of videos and 3 new songs, 3 new records, which were old records, but 3 new records that we haven't heard before. And Drake did it again. He has an Instagram. What do you call those?
Like a spam account.
There you go. You gotta. It's playing. He has an Instagram spam account called Plot Twist. And on this Instagram span account, Xavier, on Friday or Saturday, we're in Sunday right now. It was Friday, I believe. It was Friday. He released 3 new records again.
Yep.
One, Circadian Rhythm, SOD, which we had heard on Kai Cenat's stream, and No Face by Drake, which is the one I really like a lot.
Right.
What did you think about these 3 releases from Drake?
I would say that they're 3 pretty solid releases. Honestly, don't have any real big complaints about either of the songs. I feel like they are pretty good records. The production was solid. We got a smoother, more pop R&B record from Drake, as well as some of him really getting in the booth.
Right.
He was rapping on one, and if the nigga spitting, the nigga spitting.
Right.
So on one record you did mention we were supposed to have a Yachty verse, which was replaced by another Drake verse. And with that, I will say I think Drake saved that song. I do feel like that Yachty verse might have been the tip of that iceberg for just doing too much. But Drake coming in, giving us another verse, it was a solid song. Wasn't my favorite one. That was the Circadian Rhythm.
Circadian Rhythm. It was
Circadian Rhythm?
It wasn't Circadian. It was No Face.
No Face.
No Face.
That was when he was just on.
No Face.
That's when he was just Yachty was doing some ad libs.
Right.
Okay, so
right.
that one, No Face, was actually probably one either my favorite song, either that or SOD. But I did like to hear Drake go out there and just flow for a bit.
I think the problem is, as a Kendrick Lamar fan, as people who are from the West Coast, as people who wanted to see Kendrick Lamar win in this rap battle, we were being completely fair in our estimation of what really happened in this rap battle. And I think this is what's kind of pissing me off, but what people are not getting. We never said Drake couldn't make a record. We never said Drake couldn't rap. We never said Drake wasn't what he is, which is a really good quality artist, one of the top artists, and one of the people that are a legacy that does need his name cemented in music history. Like, this is who Drake is. Like Aubrey Graham, we're not talking about Aubrey Graham in a negative way in that connotation. What we're talking about is what he's been doing. Like, you can either choose to be this restaurant style meal when you come and deliver your art, or you can be McDonald's, or you can be this fast food concept. These records are great, but what are you trying to do right now? Exactly. I'm not understanding. You're releasing more videos on the 100 Gigs website of you making different stuff, which respect it. I respect it. You want to give your fans something where you're in your creative space and you want to give your fans that. 1000%. Go ahead and give your fans that. I'm not understanding the root and the message that Drake is trying to portray in his music, and that I think is the biggest problem. This is going back to what Kendrick was saying in his beef. Bro, your music has no depth. You're 37 years old. I mean, that No Face record is good. It's a really cool record, a really hard record. It's not on streaming services. Do I really need to hear this from Drake at this point in my life? I've heard great Drake records like that before. So what are you doing at 37 years old to stay at the top? Because at the end of the day, this is hip hop. Like, you have to stay consistent. If you don't change your sound, if you're not with the times, then you will be falling by the wayside. And I feel like Drake, just because of his popularity, maybe hasn't fallen to the wayside yet. But based on these records I'm getting, I'm like, what am I supposed to be expecting right now?
Right, and in addition to him just dropping the records on Instagram, not on streaming services, not on YouTube, that does beg the question of what was really the purpose of this drop. He
What
didn't
was
even
the
drop it on
purpose?
his main page. He dropped it on his spam account. So what really was the main purpose behind this release? Even with that, like you said, just because we offer some criticisms on Drake, especially during the beef, we never say that Drake is a terrible artist.
Right.
I have said his music in the last 10 years is pretty bad,
Right.
pretty trash. That doesn't mean Drake overall as an artist is a bad artist. We know Drake is a quality artist who has showed us the potential to make classic records and classic songs. But as of late, it does seem like he continues to just take that easy route of following the formula that he knows is going to hit. While the No Face record, SOD, Circadian Rhythm, while those are great solid records, it does lack that depth.
Right.
He doesn't give me any songs that I can really see another artist doing.
Right. And this is what we're talking about. Like, I want to go through this every time because we have to. Views was in 2016, ladies and gentlemen. The album Views was in 2016. Okay, since 2016, Drake gave us Scorpion. I don't think you guys believe that's a classic album. After Scorpion, he gave us what? Certified Lover Boy. In the middle of that, he gave us a pack. I remember the pack. It was the Care Package pack. He gave us also, I'm looking for him in the hoodie, and he had the Tootsie slide on there. Dark Lane demo tapes. He gave us Dark Lane demo tapes as well. Then he gave us Certified Lover Boy and For All the Dogs. Out of all those albums since 2016, Her Loss as well, which is a 21 Savage collab album. Honestly, Nevermind, which was the dance album. I personally do like and enjoy Her Loss a lot as a collab album. Take the collab album out of the Drake catalog since 2016. What are you telling me you're giving me that sticks? I mean, Scorpion did have hits on there. Nonstop was a hit. It had a couple more things. Kiki, do you love? So it had a couple hits on there, Scorpion. But that's still 2018, guys.
Right. That is
what has Drake did in the last really 8 years that tells you that he's still that number one guy that's really giving his people something? I don't understand that.
Right, because even like what you said, in the last few years, one of Drake's most notable projects, one of my favorite project would be that, honestly, never mind, that dance album. But that is not looked at as a great, even from his fans, a great project. That is just more of an experimental for the moment type thing. Her Loss is a solid album, but like you said, anytime we even talk about J. Cole with Fox or anything, when we're talking about a solo artist, I don't like to include collab albums. So when we're talking about J. Cole, I'm not going to include any of the
Revenge of the
Dreamers, which they have at least one classic under that belt. I don't count the Revenge of the Dreamers catalog with J. Cole's catalog. So I don't really want to count Her Loss with Drake's catalog as well, because we do see 21 Savage really showing up and carrying a lot of weight in the rap-esque in that album. So just within the last 8-10 years, rapping wise, what has Drake showed us that he is the number one rapper?
Right. Rapping wise. That's the key word. Rapping wise, especially. We can go back in that last 10 years. Like, he's gave us a couple timestamp records, but I don't think Drake raps like he rapped once a time in his career. And that's okay. You can be a pop star, but don't come over to this avenue or entity and think that you could mess with somebody of the likes of Kendrick Lamar. And I want to show you something, Xavier, because a lot of this is surfacing on Twitter right now. He put on his 100 Gigs website, like I said, new videos of stuff. He put a video of Rasheed Wallace, former Detroit Pistons player, and this is what it says. Let's listen in to what Rasheed Wallace said in this video.
Column 1 or 2, we will win game 2.
You're not backing off?
We will win game 2.
We will win game 2. What do you think Drake means by "we will win game 2"? What message is he trying to? Is he just poking the bear? What is he trying to do by doing this?
I would hate to say I think Drake is gearing up to reinitiate the beef.
You think so?
if he does, I feel like Drake, in this sense, would learn from his mistakes. Like we've mentioned before, if Drake did not go down the being personal and vindictive route of the beef, this could have been a real solid neck-to-neck battle. If we're just talking about hits, talking about solid music, talking about rapping, Drake and Kendrick, that could have been a great battle if Drake kept it clean. So if he finally was able to recognize that, and he's like, all right, we're going to come and we're going to do it correct this time. I'm going to show you that I can really just rap. We're going to keep our family and personal lives out of this. Hey, I'm always down for a rap battle. I'm always down for a good time. Give us some subscribers, please. But at the same time, though, I would like Drake to just kind of move on. And what he means by we're going to win the next game, we're going to win game 2, I'm hoping he means next year. We're going to win the next year. We got it. The next album.
Right.
My next release. My next project is going to be the one that gets everybody talking about me in a better light. But it does, just even from his sporadic releases of videos and songs within the last few weeks, it does seem like he is poking the bear. We even heard a little bit from the TDE camp saying that this might not be the end. We have some more stuff in the tuck. So it does seem like there might be some possible beefs going on in the future. I would love to see maybe some secondary rappers, maybe Akeem versus Sexy Red, or whoever.
Akeem versus Sexy Red is crazy.
Whoever else Drake has under 21, his kind of like.
21 gotta get in the beef. 21 has to get in the beef and activate himself.
Future 21?
Ooh.
Future versus 21?
Nah, I think 21 got that. I still think 21 got that.
You
Because
think
Future's not a Future. I don't. He wouldn't fare well in a battle to me. Future's not a person that's gonna fare well in a battle. I think Drake's really gonna leave this alone.
I hope so.
Drake is the king of being petty, and he's the king of the sneak diss, subtweet, light skin, I'm gonna hold a grudge type of attitude that he has. So he's going to. We'll see stuff like this, but the last thing Drake wants to do is re-engage this beef.
Right, because if you lose 2 in a row, and the second one you initiated,
right? There's no way he would re-engage this beef. I just want everybody to know, Drake did not like. He could have did something. Instead, he decided to resign on a song. The Hard Part 6 was a resignation letter that he's done and that he gives up. So don't come back 2-3 months later and want to get wop, that fucked him up again. So
I mean, sometimes it takes that time to step back and say, whew, I really came in here fucked up. Like, I should have came out this a completely different direction. We know Drake is massively online. So he's looking at what we're saying and he's like, I really could have had a solid battle. I really could have won this thing if I just took it seriously enough.
Right.
And I hope if Drake does decide to reinitiate in this battle, in this beef, I hope he takes it serious. Because I would hate to just... Nobody wants to listen to bad music. Nobody... it's the worst. I hate watching a blowout. Nobody likes watching a blowout.
Right.
We like close games. We like nail biters where until the end it can go either way. It's no fun listening to a song and you're like, I already know this nigga got cooked.
Right.
I already know he's cooked.
And there's a tweet right here. Kendrick Lamar has actually impacted how I listen to Drake. And I think that's true for me too. But there's 2 light skins that I can never listen to the same again. I feel like Jermaine Cole.
Yeah, that's tough.
And Aubrey Graham are 2 people that after 2024, just listening to them seems a little different. Would you agree?
Well, I would agree with that statement as far as J. Cole.
Mm-hmm.
I have always listened to Drake in the same light, in the same ear. Like, I've always been listening to, trying to find that quality. Because even though I didn't listen to as much Drake as everyone else in high school or growing up when he first came out, I was able to recognize a good song.
Mm-hmm.
And Drake has put out good quality music, and we just haven't really heard that same depth, that same content in a long time. And that's really my only issue with Drake. If he wants to continue being viewed as the number one artist, number one rapper, but his music is not really showcasing.
Yeah,
that
you're
as
not
well.
bringing anything extra to the game for you to sit up in here and act like you're number one. Just
Right.
because the numbers are telling you that. People, numbers don't mean everything.
Yeah,
They don't.
Numbers don't. Just because numbers show that people are listening to your music, it doesn't also show that people are connecting with your music on any sort of deeper level. Just because people turn on your music when they want to go work out or want to go and just having a party, they just want to put music on in the background. Background music gets views.
Right.
But nobody's looking at background music as something that's going to shape or mold hip hop or R&B in any type of way.
Right.
So numbers, they mean something, but don't get so hung up on numbers where you look at somebody with the numbers who doesn't have the quality versus somebody who doesn't have the numbers but is producing quality music on a scale that is surpassing artists like Drake and even Kendrick Lamar. There are artists like that who just have not had that culturally outstanding song that surpasses just black culture but ventures off into white culture as well.
Right.
That is that song that you need. Every artist needs at least 1 to 2 of those songs to be in that big 3.
Right. And some artists
Kendrick
don't want
got it.
that.
Some artists really
yeah.
don't want that.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants a Taylor Swift record.
Right.
Kendrick got culturally transcending hit records.
Yeah.
Drake has culturally transcending hit records, and so does J. Cole. There are a lot of rapping ass rappers, like we've mentioned in the past, Lupe Fiasco, who doesn't have that culturally transcending record that's going to elevate him to that GOAT status. Even though if you're just a rapper, or even if you're just somebody who listens to rap music, you would think of Lupe Fiasco as that GOAT. But when we start talking about these big name artists, the Drakes, the Kendricks, the Coles, the Waynes, the Jay-Z's, it takes that white
You got to
fan.
check all the boxes and you
All
have to
the
have
boxes.
all the attributes.
Yeah, it's everything. You can't just have one box that's not checked because here's that artist that does have every box checked.
Right, right.
And that's what's really going to get you that recognition. And it really is just about that recognition at the end of the day, because I think that if we're just being like straight up, I think the big 3 needs a lot of rearranging.
Oh, 1,000%.
I don't think Drake can be on there.
Big 3 is done to me.
Yeah, like I'm not mad at Drake being on the big 3 because of what he has done in the past, but I wouldn't necessarily think I think J. Cole needs to be on the big 3. He's there because, like we've mentioned, he has those hit records that transcend just black culture, but just overall quality, impact, sound, lyricism, I do think there's a few artists that deserve that spot a little bit more.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, I might want Wale in that spot. But Future definitely deserves.
Okay, now you're wilding.
Future definitely deserves to be number 3.
Now you're wilding.
If we're being literal and we're talking about this era and checking those boxes and selling, and he just don't have the lyrical attribute.
Right. But if y'all just want to play the numbers games, then there's a few artists that are up there who can sell too. But if we're talking just talent, I think I would put a few people, at least 2,
Right.
over J. Cole at this point.
Right. So, Ak broke this story. I don't know if it's true. DJ Head has kind of came out and been like, I don't know. And I kind of trust with West Coast news, DJ Head over Academics. So I don't know what's going on. But Academics says Kendrick is coming. He has an album coming. He's almost done. He's gearing up. I don't put any expectations out with when it comes to him, and it's not coming from the camp around him.
Hey, Academics is the #1 hip hop journalist in the world. If he says Kendrick is coming, Kendrick is coming. I don't give a fuck what the camp says.
Right.
Academics said it. It's facts.
Exactly. That's cap. Yeah. It's just different because we don't usually see artists move like this, like how Kendrick is. There's not really that many leaks when it comes to things going on. A lot of people don't know a lot of things that are going on. I think, like, even thinking about how Like That was released.
Right.
Not everybody knew that was about to happen. That was kept under wraps maybe till probably like 2 weeks before that record even was about to be a thing. Like That was really kept in the tuck. So Kendrick moves with this silence. Do you want to see an album from him in 2024? Do you think that we need it, deserve it? What are you feeling about Kendrick right now?
Honestly, with the drops that we've had this year, I wouldn't be mad if we didn't get a Kendrick album this year. Usually, in like the last few years, I would say we've needed an artist like Kendrick or Drake to give us a really great album because the albums we receive are pretty lackluster, just not hitting the mark. But this year, we've had great releases from Denzel Curry and Vince Staples and Killer Mike, JPEG Mafia. We've had a lot of great albums, even R&B with Don Toliver and Tizo Touchdown as well. So I'm satisfied. And I had the beef already.
Right.
I had my Kendrick. I'm satisfied.
Right.
But if he did want to come out, I would hope that, unlike DJ Mustard, he uses this momentum from that beef to kind of really continue to make his mark and put out something that is really going to continue to put the West on the map.
Right.
Because as we've talked about in private as well, outside of Kendrick, TDE, the West Coast really has not been producing at a high level in a few years. And there are some states, like, I don't want to call it other states that aren't ours, but New York, I feel like we just have not been producing at the highest level anymore. Atlanta's been doing this thing for a minute.
Right.
We've even seen the South of Texas being able to pop off a little bit more in recent years with newer artists like Mexican OT. Even Project Pat has been a lot more active in recent years. I would like to see the same from the West Coast. DJ Mustard didn't really hit the mark for me, but we've had some great releases so far. I did like the G Perico album. So even with that, Kendrick, if you do come, please come correct. And it's not the time for a poetry album.
And I think based on what the snippet was, I think he's on that type of timing. But anything that Kendrick will give us is going to be a work of art.
Right.
We really don't have to worry about that. Just whatever concept you want it to be. You want it to be slaps. You want it to be that music that's going to transcend and put him to the next level. I think this album might be, I don't think it's going to sell more than Damn, but this is going to be a highly touted, expected album. And we shall see what to come. I'm excited either way, but I'm not getting my hopes up because I already know. Right.
Yeah. A very highly anticipated album. But again, when it comes to Kendrick or when it comes to TDE, you don't want to keep your hopes up too high because, especially since we know that we have a Doechii album potentially coming really soon, we know they really stick to those releases. So we've had something from Kendrick, Mr. Morale, about 2 years ago.
But he's not really TDE anymore. He's not signed to them.
Right. But
he's not going to step on any of their releases, though.
Yeah, he's not going to. Yeah. So we got to look at who's already dropped.
Right.
We got a Doechii album coming soon. Schoolboy dropped this year. We haven't heard from Isaiah Rashad in at least a year and a half, 2 years.
J-Rock's supposed to be coming.
So yeah, we need a J-Rock. Ab dropped. Was it this year or last year?
Actually, everybody's supposed to be dropping this year. Remember they were saying that in the beginning?
Yeah, so everybody's pretty much dropped so far except for Isaiah Rashad. We need another SZA project. Zachariah even dropped this year. So possibly, I'm not gonna say this year. This year seems to be moving pretty fast so far. It seems like there's not gonna be really too many surprise drops. I think we really know who we were expected. It looks like everybody's dropped so far. I know we're waiting on a few more albums like Fushi and Doechii, as we mentioned, but I think a lot of the bigger name artists are kind of going to wait for the next year.
Right. Our way to the fourth quarter, because, I feel like we still have some drops that are kind of anticipated, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. But like you said, I'm really satisfied. If Kendrick comes next year, I'm fine with that. Let me tell y'all, Euphoria, still banging it. Probably the best song probably the best song this year. Definitely the best song in this beef. Fight with Your Mama on that. But Euphoria is that one. And whoever has anything to say about the beef, nigga, listen to Euphoria. So we'll see what will be happening. Drake, get your life. Please stop releasing singles. And Kendrick, we will see when that work of art comes soon. On to other news. Lil Yachty had a breakdown before his birthday, Xavier.
It'd be like that.
It'd be like that sometimes. It'd be like that. Him and his friend Mitch, who they have a podcast together, he said a lot of things about him on Instagram Live, and he said a lot of things about Caribou
on
Instagram Live. We came to find out with a reference track that was leaked probably by Yachty that he it's on the radar. On the radar, he wrote that on the radar freestyle that really went viral and kind of put Caribou on the scene as a rapper. So what do you think about the downfall of the Concrete Boys? What's going on over there in that camp?
There's nothing like a happy birthday crash out. Shoot. The Concrete Boys, man, their style is really impeccable, but it turns out that's all thanks to Yachty as well. In that live stream, Yachty was exposing a lot of things when it came to the Concrete Boys and his, as you mentioned, Mitch. But is it really a leak when in the live he says, I got the reference in my notes, and then we get the notes dropped? Like, we know where that came from a little bit. But either way, it is interesting to see because a lot of the clips are starting to resurface of when they had that on the radar freestyle, and for them to really hype it up and let her go last, let her have the beat switch up, let her have the extra bass to really promote her as that top artist in Concrete Boys, just to find out that not only is she not styling her own clothes, she doesn't write her own music, she doesn't even figure out her own flow. It's all reference tracked. And at the same time, why are we getting upset with her when we allow similar things from artists like Drake at the same time, who are Yachty's friend? Yachty writes for Drake as well. But even with that, I would put most of the blame on Yachty.
There you go.
Because I feel like with that whole situation, he kind of just maybe had a little bit of a big head. He's been writing records for the City Girls, hits. He's been writing records for Drake, even just the ones that we've known, probably a few more. So he has a lot of hit records, even for himself as well. So he's probably thinking, wow, all I got to do is find me a good-looking light-skinned girl. I'm going to write her some songs. Boop, another hit. And it doesn't really just seem to work that way, especially when you have such a vocal artist who wants to be known and touted for her personality and her lyricism, but it's really going to backfire when you have Yachty come and say that he is the person behind this. So I feel like there's a lot of conversations that should have just been had in private. Maybe they did have those conversations in private, and it just needed to be public for it to be taken a little bit more seriously. But we've seen, I don't know if it was earlier this week, Caribou on stage performing, and the energy was just not there.
But she also did say, in her defense, because we don't know who wrote these records. I mean, I heard a reference track.
I did hear a reference track.
I did hear a reference track, word for word, bar for bar. But she did say, "Who ain't write it? Who ain't write it, Yachty?" That's what she said on stage.
And Yachty said on the live stream, "You wonder why she ain't dropped no music yet since she left. She don't got none." And that's that is crazy. But at the same time, this question has been burning on the inside.
Okay.
Who listens to the Concrete Boys or Caribou? Who is their demo?
That is actually a good question. I do not know how popular they are. Like Yachty is the only one that I really
like. Yachty's popular because that's Lil Yachty.
You're right.
I know another one of the girls on Concrete Boys, I believe her name is Gio. I know she's really popular as well, been on a lot of streams with Kai, but she's more known for her personality and for modeling. So if we're just talking about music, who is listening to the Concrete Boys?
I have no idea.
That's probably the same people listening to Ian. Oh, another person that Yachty is probably writing for.
Honestly, yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see if Mitch and Yachty end up doing the pod again together.
They're definitely doing the pod again together. That ain't nothing but good promotion,
right?
Because now he got to go talk about where else he gonna go talk. Now he got to go talk about his birthday crash out. He's gonna go on his podcast.
He said he was done. That's what he
said.
Claims.
He was done, and I get it. Coming from just what we've heard so far, just what we can see on social media, I can see why it would be frustrating for Lil Yachty. Coming from his perspective, he is trying his best to put on all of his friends, which we not only would expect, but we love to support the artists who really do try their best to put their friends on, put them in a better situation, give them some money to go make a name for themselves. But then to see maybe that it is not being appreciative, or they're not putting the best effort forward to make sure that your money that you're putting into them is not only making a return, but is a good investment.
Right.
I can see how that could be frustrating. I can see how it could be frustrating that you write a reference track, write the song, switch the beat, tell her exactly what to say, but then she goes on and starts dissing you. She goes on and lets the world diss you and doesn't stand up. And same thing for Mitch as well. I can see how that could be frustrating. And I don't know if I would have got on live and said everything exactly the way he said it.
Right.
But there definitely would have been some conversations. I just don't think that was the best way to go about it. But regardless, that podcast is going to have another episode 100%. 100%.
We will be expecting to see that. Hopefully, I don't know about their music, Concrete Boys, Yachty. Yachty's talented. He's gonna end up on his feet. He has a lot of different avenues.
Yeah, Yachty gonna be fine.
Yeah, Yachty's gonna be fine. Quickly, before we get off the Yachty conversation, we were having a conversation just about him as a rapper. I think this is an important conversation to have. I think since 2016, when we heard that One Night record with Lil Yachty, that Yachty has really evolved as an artist. We're just talking about him in music. Presently he's hanging out with Drake a lot, in the studio with Drake a lot. I think that he has really evolved lyrically, but just in the overall landscape of music. And this will kind of take us into the Tyler, the Creator interview a little bit. But there's just something about Yachty's voice that we seem to not get over. What do you think should be the next direction for Yachty? Do you think that he should stick to the producing, because he seems to be really good at it?
Right.
What he does, how he orchestrates things, like those are still real gifts and talents. To me, just the rapping part, like he was on YG's new album. That song was hard to me, and it was just like, I hope Yachty didn't ruin it.
Right.
Yachty could have bars. It's just the voice, to me, I just can't get with.
Yeah, and I feel like it really just might be a us thing.
Okay.
Because even I've already said, like, early Chance the Rapper, it took me a minute to get used to it took me a minute to get used to his voice, but I did eventually get used to it. And even in the car on the way down, or the way up here, we re-listened to some of Yachty's music, especially what's the song he did with T Grizzly?
I forgot the name of that song.
But we re-listened to the song he did with T Grizzly. When it first came out, I could not stand the way Yachty was rapping on that song. But after we re-listened to it, I can already see that Yachty's voice is growing on me. Right. And his fans and other people seem to not really care, or they seem to find his music really enjoyable. So I wouldn't say that he needs to go in a different direction. We know as a writer and as a producer, he is doing tremendous. But as a rapper, making his own music, he seems to be doing really great as well. Right. Not every song is going to be for me. Maybe eventually one day his voice will change, or I will just get used to it and get used to it. Because there are some songs that Yachty, when he puts like some auto-tune, makes his voice a little bit deeper. I think he had a song with, I think it was V's, that I really did like, and that let me know it really just is his voice, because he had that auto-tune on. It really just is his voice. So I wouldn't tell him, or wouldn't expect him to kind of navigate into a different direction. I really did like his more R&B album. I did really like that, but at the same time, we do get that in a better format from other artists like Sir, Don Toliver. So I'm not mad if he doesn't go that route either.
What was his name of his last album that he did? I need Drive Me Crazy or something like that. I liked Yachty in that form. I really did. I believe it's called Drive Me Crazy. I'm looking it up right now. Yachty's discography. Oh, it's not called Drive Me Crazy. It's called Let's Start Here. There's probably a song. There's probably a song on here called Drive Me Crazy. There's a song on here called Drive Me Crazy.
Yeah, Let's Start Here.
That I really like. But
yeah, it was a great album.
Alternative album.
Yeah, alternative. But yeah, we have a lot of great alternative artists at the moment that I would say aren't on the even playing field with just what we've seen from Yachty in that alternative space. But as a rapper, there are still few people who are making music at a better level than Lil Yachty. Whether I really like or relate to his music or not, I can still acknowledge there aren't that many artists who are making better music than him. So when people like Cayman over acting like Lil Yachty's the savior of hip hop, I can't be too mad.
I don't know about no fucking savior, but I do commend some of those people in that draft class of 2016, when we look back at that double XL list, we didn't think none of them niggas was gonna make it. And 21 Savage has evolved and become better. Kodak Black has stuck around, evolved, and I think he had the most raw talent out of the group. Uzi has became what Uzi became, and Yachty evolved and developed. I think there's still more people on there. I think Denzel Curry was on that 2016.
I can't remember, but if he was on that 2016, he was my favorite artist off that list.
Right.
We can easily say Uzi is the biggest artist off that list. Uzi is honestly one of the biggest artists we've had in like the last generation. Again, not for me, but hey, I respect the game.
But it's been lovely to see them evolve like how we didn't think these other artists will.
Right, and even on top of that, with Uzi, it's great to see somebody actually enjoy making music, have fun, and just be creative. Because we have a lot of these artists who will be very vocal about the fact that they only rap because they're making money.
Right.
They don't have any interest in developing because it's just a bag to them.
Exactly.
Artists like Yachty have been very vocal about that. And we can see that even with some of the artists that they're putting on, like Ian, like the Concrete Boys, who don't have that talent on their own. I won't speak for everyone on the Concrete Boys, but just as far as what he said himself about Caribou, he's putting together a team that he is implementing his own sound and style into.
Right.
Let me get y'all together, I'm gonna dress you.
Right.
Let me get y'all together, I'm gonna pick the beat. Let me get y'all together, I'm gonna write the song.
There's no creative
and do
juices
the
flowing
reference.
maybe in that element.
There's really nothing creative. They're just being told what to do. So Yachty, 21 Savage, Uzi, that was a really great class, but like you said, looking back, I don't think I would have expected the type of trajectory we've had from those artists.
Right. And that actually is a perfect segue into our next conversation. Let's hear from Tyler, the Creator.
Outside of maybe Kodak, I feel like back then I would have thought Kodak Black would have been bigger, but I feel like that's also part because he can't stay out of trouble.
There you go. That's fact.
Signed up for this? No. I don't want to seem like a hater. Sometimes I have hater energy because I just think I'm that good. People be like, well, you signed up for this. No.
Is your frustration with them because you care about this art form so
Dude,
much?
I love this art form so much, bro. And there's so many niggas out right now that aren't musicians that are getting treated like musicians because they make meme records. And publicly will be like, I don't give a fuck about music. I just do this shit for money. Like, it's a Spider-Man meme of like the next nigga. When every publication is like, hell yeah, let's put that out. Now you taking up space for niggas like me. I don't want to seem like a hater. Sometimes I have hater energy.
Hey, you do seem like a hater.
There's one more when he's talking about Ian, like you were just talking about that white kid Ian.
A Caucasian man, this white kid, regular like Caucasian man, and he's like mocking Future and Gucci Mane like rap music. And like people are like, this shit hard. It's not even like satire. It's like, I'm just joking, I'm just mocking it. But I'm like, no, you can't do. And I hold rap music so close to my heart because this shit changed my life and everyone's life around me. And I'm a nerd about this shit. This is like weird. And I'm looking at it and something about it like don't even sit well with me in comparison to someone like a Mac Miller or Eminem, who it didn't seem like they was mocking it. They had a genuine love for it, and they were still just being, you know?
And yeah, took the words right out of my mouth. And before we get too into that, a little bit about what I've been seeing people say online about Tyler, the Creator's interview, is they're saying that it's interesting that he has this opinion now when he could arguably be seen as a father to a lot of these white kids who want to come start making rap music. And honestly, I can see where that opinion would form from, with a lot of old Wolfgang, Odd Future, Gonna Kill 'Em All records. But at the same time, I wouldn't think that's a fair argument because as crazy and out of pocket as a lot of that music was, that was still who they were at that time. That was their creative juices flowing as kids from Los Angeles in the skate scene who were heavily influenced by other rappers and other genres of music. Now, how does that translate into what we want to make? I wouldn't say Tyler the Creator intentionally made it more viable for artists like Ian or other artists to kind of just come in and really just be provocative, and that is what is able to make their trajectory to stardom like real. Is just the fact that they say and do crazy things. They did do that, but it was from a creative standpoint. They were making music, they were making TV, they were being full creatives, and from that we have had artists spawn like Frank Ocean, Tyler the Creator, Earl Sweatshirt, Mellow Hype. So we did have a lot of straight up lyricists and people who really did care about hip hop formed from Odd Future. Now we have artists like Caribou, Ian, who will come, even Lil Yachty I can put in that boat, who really haven't showed a true, I don't want to really say passion for the genre, but a real love for the art of making music outside of what is going to generate money. And I feel like artists like Yachty are making it more acceptable. And that's interesting because we see him partnering himself with Drake, who again I would say is very much a part of the issue of why we have a lot of rappers or artists think it's okay to make mid-ass music with the intent of selling. Even on top of that, we see a lot of rappers and artists even make the statement themselves that you don't really make money until you bring up another artist. We see Drake do that with everybody. He's doing it currently with Sexy Red. We can now see Yachty doing that with the Concrete Boys, with Ian, with his podcast. It does seem like he's really just putting different ventures out there that he can continue to funnel money through. And I feel like that does nothing at the end of the day but kind of just take away from the art form, and like Tyler said, makes it harder for people who really do just want to make art. It makes that field or that avenue smaller because there's going to be more and more and more and more people who want to just go that easy route. Put on a little beat, go in there and say, "Code in Minnesota," and you're a fucking hit. You're a star. You get to make records with Drake because that's what you got to do. You make a record with Drake and you're off from there. And it's just, it all starts before Drake, of course. Drake is not the end all be all of why rap or why hip hop is slowly dying. It does start, we can say, with artists like Eminem, who we allow from outside of the culture to come and be involved in the culture. And while I would never say anything like that is intentional, we do see a lot of people who will then come and say, "Oh yeah, I listen to rap. I like people like Eminem." And they think that is what hip hop is because that is what their entry point into hip hop is. So now when we have a lot of people who their entry point to hip hop is Eminem or Drake or Lil Yachty, the quality or the content that they're looking for is going to be drastically different than what the entire landscape of hip hop or music may be at all. And now what we're looking through the optics of what is successful and what is popular, if the number one artist isn't taking his time to produce music, why would someone coming up want to take time to produce music when they might not see any return?
Yeah, and they see the field doesn't put in any work too. Not only the top artists, but literally most of the field, and that goes into Tyler the Creator saying most of these niggas are not musicians. It was really nice and fun to hear Tyler just talk about his upbringing, how he fell in love with music, how he began to find stuff, how he self-taught himself stuff like the piano, and was just telling you like you have to figure it out. If you have that music gift, if you have that gift where you're rhythmically like talented and can pick things up. That process is beautiful, like just learning different things and finding your own way and your own sound. And let me be honest, Odd Future and a lot of the stuff that Tyler the Creator and them were doing in the beginning, that stuff wasn't for me, like at all. But what have we seen from the time that we first heard Tyler the Creator to what we hear now? What kind of evolution, what kind of, and we have this conversation a lot when it comes to Mac Miller, and I'm glad that he brought Mac Miller up, because Mac Miller is one of those few artists where you could hear the evolution and the maturation process. When you really love a genre, like all I want to see is for these rappers or these people that are in this music to get as geeked as I do when I hear a great verse, and I'm jumping up and down, and I'm happy to be a rap fan in that present moment, hearing somebody really body a track lyrically, finding a new lyricist or a new artist that you really love. Those are the type of things. Going back and understanding the history and saying, oh, he was really nice. Going back and listening to Tribe or Wu-Tang or somebody like that to be like, they really had it. Going back and listening and researching those albums. The Roots was another one. There's just so many avenues where it's like, to be a fan, to be geeked out is great. But when you're an artist in that, I want you to have that same kind of energy, veracity. Like, we know Kendrick Lamar has studied this thing. We know some of the greats have studied. Kanye knows about music. Like, I just saw Kanye on a Michael Jackson doc, because he knows music. You have to understand music and where it was to understand where it's going and how you can literally set your mark there. So I'm just glad that Tyler did say something. They're saying that he's the old man, get off my lawn type of person right now.
Hey.
But I don't care what happens when you first come into this space in hip hop. It's about what you do after. Are you going to use it just for a quick buck? Do you want to evolve in your music? What do you want out of this? And like he was saying, a lot of these niggas just want that quick check out of it. It's understandable, but this is what the music industry is pushing. This is what the labels are pushing. They don't want the real artists to win at the end of the day. And niggas are about to start using AI or something like that, because I don't know what these labels are going to do, but they're trying to cut those middlemen out and those real musicians.
Right. The label is going to, of course, want to go the path of, we don't want you to experiment and try to figure out just something that might do okay. We want something we know is going to make money. And I was watching T-Pain was talking about it, and he was saying that he cried when his label told him they want him to make Future music. They didn't want him to make music in his style or his sound or that he connected to. They wanted just to make something that was similar to what another artist was already doing. So just, again, following that formula of what is already popular. Oh, we love Future's sound. We love Future's beats. If you do that, you're going to be good. If you don't do that, we don't really know how we're going to be able to market you, because that's not really the sound that we're looking for at this moment. And even outside of that, what you were mentioning, I don't think everybody has to be a nerd about it, but at least grow up.
That's
like,
evolve. Just evolve.
Just evolve. Learn to pivot
with the genre.
Like,
evolve with the genre.
Tyler the Creator started making music when he was like 16, 17, when Odd Future started blowing up, and we can see a complete shift in the music that he is making now in 2024 versus the music he was making in like 2011, 2012. It is a completely different person. And it is, because he grew up. You don't have to keep making the same exact song, the same exact beat, the same exact flow. Even if you don't want to go and take the extra of listening to Tribe, listening to Wu-Tang, listening to 3 6 Mafia, going back and listening to legends and see what they have helped contribute to rap, at least grow up and tell me what your story is.
Right.
You're making music in 2015. There should be no excuse or reason why you're making the same exact music 10 years later.
Right.
Nothing in your life has changed. I know you got some money now. That's changed. Your experiences have changed. Why am I still hearing the same shit? And that is my biggest concern with artists, except for Sexy Red. Stay the same.
No,
always be you.
Please don't say the same.
Always be you.
Please do not.
But
say
that's
the same.
always going to be my biggest concern with these artists, is they get comfortable with what made them popular that they just stick to that bubble, and that's what is going to eventually leave them behind because people have heard it before.
Right. You look at somebody like Ice Spice who said she used to listen to Pimp a Butterfly every day coming home from school. That was one of her best albums that she's ever heard of all time. So when are you gonna take that leap, Ice Spice? Because Kendrick Lamar, his sophomore album, chose after Good Kid, Mad City, a classic album, to not go and give you the slaps, to go and do a black album. Now you don't have to do specifically what he did there, but Ice Spice, go find what is gonna make you great out of the landscape of what you've already did, which is the hit records, which are like, I know it's hard, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's the label. I don't know if it's the money that they can make touring. I don't know if it's just the easy, quick, accessible things to what they can achieve. But the artist development, the artist really sitting in there and trying to create just great pieces of work and evolve in their craft. We're losing that at a high clip, as you already mentioned.
Yeah, it's who's popular right now? Okay, Ice Spice, I want you to make a Cardi B record. Okay, T-Pain, I want you to make a Future record. Okay, I want you to make a Drake record. It's just imitating what is already popular. We always know just trying to make an album, because if you making an album, that takes time,
Right?
And by time your album is ready to present, the sound of music could completely change. So if you're just trying to be consistent and generate money, of course you're gonna see, okay, what is popular right now? What's doing good? Okay, Afrobeats is doing good. I'm gonna do an Afrobeats album. Okay, what's really popular right now? Okay, they're really liking trap music right now. I can get some trap beats. I can do some Future. Like, the imitation is putting limitations on our artists, and we're just gonna be a generation of just a bunch of Ice Spices. No shade to Ice Spice, but the farts aren't gonna get you out of this one. The fart records are done.
That is facts. On to other news. Xavier will give you his top 5 albums, but before you do that, I want to talk about this YG album, because this is a little bit going on into what we were saying. I was very excited. I'm just very excited about a lot of these West Coast drops, what was going on. The Mester album was pretty good. I'm waiting on Roddy Ricch to drop. Of course, we were already talking about Kendrick, but YG is a person that I felt like, number one, YG has a classic album. Not a lot of people can say that. And when I was looking back and getting into my Rolodex of hip-hop albums in my brain, I don't know if there's 25 albums better than My Crazy Life. And I'm pushing it. I don't know if there's 15 albums, hip-hop albums, cohesive units that are better than My Crazy Life by YG, his first album. So I always give YG that respect. He is a West Coast legend, but he's got that classic. So I was excited when I just read Up 3 dropped. I wanted to hear some slaps from YG. Album after that was good too. So YG was on a run. But this album, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it like that. The first part, he did 2 discs, and a lot of people are doing this 2-disc thing. I think Blast did the same kind of concept with his album. I'm not sure what's going on, but this one, for me, it just wasn't it. I kind of liked maybe a couple records on there, but disc 2 is where it really started to pick up for me. And oh Lord, the only point I wanted to make with this YG album is, where is the depth from YG? Like, I still want to hear Hood, Gang, Evolved YG. Like, I still want to hear that, and I think YG is one of those people that we need to hear from him in that way. I think the album did get a little bit slower when he had like some love records and things of that nature kind of in this too, after giving us the turn up stuff, after giving us something with great beats and things of that nature. But I just want to hear depth from these artists, and I was glad to see, after I listened to this today, after YG went on a walk with like just people from different hoods, a unity walk. So you're still doing stuff in your community. You can give me these records if you're actually doing stuff in your community, but I want your records to translate what you're doing out in the community. I want those records to translate because YG, I feel like you can evolve and give us those type of records. So hopefully we'll see something new, but this is 2024 and I've heard this YG before and I've heard it better.
Right, and I was a little less excited than Cayman going into that album because I really haven't enjoyed or really thoroughly enjoyed a YG album since
Quite a while.
My Life 400 in 2020.
Yeah.
He did that collab album with Tyga, did that collab album with Mozzie. Just a couple misses for me. So going into this album, I was just happy. I was like, oh, we got some YG. Let me see what I can get. And like you said, we do see some slight variations. We do get a little record with Lil Yachty, but other than that, we kind of just a lot of Ty Dolla $ign, T Grizzly, Kalen for real. So kind of similar vibes of what we heard before from YG. And like you said, I don't really expect too much variation from every artist. I know some artists are really just
in their lane. But you can be in your lane and still evolve in that lane.
Yes, you can be in your lane, be in your sound, and still evolve in that lane, whether it's through your production or through your flow. I can still want to see something new. And there's just nothing new or notable from this album. It wasn't a bad album. It wasn't a great album. It was just an addition to the catalog.
Right. And that it is. In other news, Doechii's album will be releasing, and I'm gonna say this: I am booking on the word, the moxie, the name of Top Dog Entertainment. When it comes to debut albums, I'm gonna trust them 1,000% unequivocally. I will listen with my ears on that Thursday night going into Friday because I know TDE delivers great debut albums. So Doechii's listen and what she's gonna do with this boom rap. I know boom rap just came out, or boom bap, or whatever it was called. I am booking all my trust that this album will be great on the fact that she is a TDE artist, and TDE artists do not take shortcuts when it comes to debut albums. So what are you anticipating for this? We will talk about it and give it an album review once it does come, but quickly, your thoughts on what you think will be anticipated with her different sounds.
Yes, and just like you said, whenever I see TDE is having an artist drop a debut album, I take those drops very seriously because we know TDE is very serious about who is dropping, very meticulous about when they're dropping, and especially since we've seen some women drop a lot of albums this year, such as Meg Thee Stallion, Lotto, and with Doechii, we see her proclaiming herself as that bitch, that number one artist. I can see her with this album challenging the positioning of who is the best woman artist at the moment. I was a hater a little bit. I wasn't really thoroughly convinced that Doechii was the new wave. I've heard some songs like we've talked about, Nissan Ultima. I've heard some songs. I know Doechii has range. She'll give you some more Afro beats. She'll give you some pops. She'll give you some hard flow.
Right.
I was a Flo Milli boy. I thought Flo Milli was that nigga for real. We did a lot of research. And it turns out that Flo Milli can give you a good feature. But when it comes to her own projects and her own singles, it's not that for me. So going into that, doing some more research on all of Doechii's music, watching the boom bap or boom rap music video and song, I can 100% say that Doechii is going to give, at least the women that dropped this year, definitely going to give Lotto and Meg Thee Stallion a run for their money.
1,000%.
Even just in the rapping department. Meg Thee Stallion is another artist that is definitely in her lane. So I'm not seeing her really rivaling Doechii in pop or Afro beats. A common theme from that boom bap release is that Doechii is going to give us everything. She's going to give you the house, the trap, the rap. So I do see this being a very evolved album. TDE artists are always going to give you that quality music.
Right.
And I think she's going to give us something that we're really going to want to talk about moving forward. That might actually force a lot of women to evolve with their music as well. One thing I really did like with the Lotto album was that it wasn't one-dimensional at all. She gave us some R&B records. She gave us some gym music, some club records. Then she gave us some really slowed down duets with Tizo Touchdown and Mariah the Scientist as well. So Lotto has shown us a lot of dimension. But when it comes to Cardi, Meg Thee Stallion, Flo Milli, I very much see themselves as a certain type of artist. And Doechii coming to the scene now with this debut, I feel like she's going to put a big gap in front of her and these other artists. She's going to come for some crowns.
1,000%. I am excited to see that. And we were also talking when we were doing our little research on music, and you said you kind of had reconstructed your top 5 from the last time we had talked about it. Just music in general. There are a couple more albums have dropped.
Yes.
So what are you seeing? What is your top 5 albums? What are you listening to that's new? What's going on in that playlist now?
So I've listened to a lot. There was a couple albums I had on my list that I just didn't have a time to listen to yet, and then there was a lot of albums that dropped. So from the last time we've talked about our top 5s, my list has changed a little bit. Since then, I've had the pleasure of listening to I Lay Down My Life For You by JPEG Mafia, The Click House Reloaded by G Perico, Don't Forget to Breathe by Buddy, and the who am I missing? The dang Denzel Curry album as well, King of Mischief South Volume 2. So my list now, I would say, is I'm still gonna have No Worries for my R&B album.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Denzel Curry up there with my 2 to replace Vince Staples. My 3 is a cap. My 3 is Vince Staples. So No Worries, Denzel Curry, and Vince Staples are currently my top 3 albums for the year. I'm going to say the same thing I said last year. I am putting JPEG Mafia in my top 5 because it is so refreshing to have some solid production, quality music, and experimentation in a good way. And JPEG Mafia really did show out with his features as well. We had Vince Staples, who was on there doing a remix with the beat of Senorita, which is one of my favorite Vince Staples songs. Denzel Curry was on there as well. So there was a lot of features on that album that I really did enjoy, including with Denzel Curry's album on his own. He had hella features on there. Man had Project Pat, 2 Chainz, I think JPEG Mafia was on his album as well. So coming from Melt Your Eyes in 2023, which was my favorite album of the year, coming into Kings of Mischiefs Volume 2, 2024, Denzel Curry is on a run for me right now. So, of course, he is in my 3.
Okay.
So that's my 5. Did I say 4?
You said 3.
4. So, No Worries,
Right.
Vince Staples, Denzel Curry,
Right.
JPEG Mafia,
Right. Okay,
and
yeah,
I
one more.
really enjoyed that Saba album.
Okay.
But I'm still got to give it to Rhapsody.
Gotcha. All right, yeah, top 5. I'm gonna keep mine a little bit under wrap. It is August. We have to start compiling our lists.
Yeah.
Best songs. We might do a little. I know we're gonna do a year-end wrap up. We have to talk about some of the best moments in the culture this year, some of the best records in the culture this year, and some of the best albums. That's all coming to Black Ambition Media in the near future.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We kind of covered everything. This is another episode of Everyday Hip Hop. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment on the bottom.
Let us know what your favorite album was down in the comments below.
Right.
Let us know what your biggest flop was of the year so far.
Right.
We're gonna give you that too. Our 2 biggest flops of the year.
Okay.
What album are we leaving behind
In 2024?
I got my list.
We ain't rocking it. We dropping it. And in this music generation, there's a lot of shit to drop.
Yeah, shoot. I'll give you one right now. After going back and listening to it another 2 times, I'm dropping Vultures too.
Dang.
I'm dropping it.
Dang.
It's just, I was like, maybe he's gonna go back in there and tweak a couple songs.
Right.
It's still so unfinished. And that nigga YS can't help but fuck up a song at the end. So I'm leaving Vultures 2 behind in 2024, unfortunately, but I'm taking the production with me.
Right. I am not mad at that. This is Everyday Hip Hop. Thank y'all for joining us for another episode. We will see y'all later. Peace.
Peace.